Good evening, everyone. So how much ever one would like to believe that my land, Assam, was peaceful prior to the armed conflict propagated by rebel groups in mid-80s is far from the truth. The fact is, this land has been attacked several times by multiple external forces. The Mughals, the Burmese, of course, the Britishers, and later the Chinese. So in 19th century, there was a Assamese language movement. This movement was a resistance, a protest. That time, the Britishers were using Bengali language as the language of the court and in the educational institutions. It took 35 years for the literate, educated Assamese society, civil society, and the American Baptist missionaries to convince the Britishers that Assamese ought to be the language of this land officially. After the Assamese language was reinstated as the language of the court and in educational institutions, and the British left, Boros started agitating. First, they demanded that Boro language is to be used as a medium of instruction in schools and colleges. And second, with that, the permission, acceptance to use Roman script as their script. I'm aware this talk is not about the history of Assam. I'm supposed to talk about the impermanence of pain and suffering and how I experience it in my personal life. But I will come to that in a bit. In the 80s, I was to pass the primary school and in the village and go to the school in city for my middle school. But because of anti-foreigners agitation, which was also known as Bohiragato Andolan, the schools and colleges were closed for a year. And with all my new uniforms, new books, in fact, ended up not taking me to any school in the town. In fact, I had to skip, like many other students, 1 year of education. This movement ended with the signing of an accord between the governments and the organization, the leaders of the organization that led that movement. Soon after, just when we were hoping the peace was setting in. Boros, one of the biggest tribes, not just in Assam, but in the entire region, started demanding for separate state. This went on for many years. Many of them lost belongings, houses, and even lives, and especially many years of educations, because many of the young people joined this movement, and to avoid the atrocities of the forces, they had to hide away, and they lost many years of education. Along with this came the rebellion of many groups in this region. I would talk about Assam, who picked up arms, who dreamt of creating a sovereign state here in India. Initially, it all looked natural. It looked even aspirational for many young people, including myself. Little did we know that this movement was going to push us to a dark pit. It affected daily lives of people. It altered the very fabric of the society. There was fears all over. Many of the lives were lost either in the hands of the state or the non-state actors. People suffered immensely, to say the least, during those days. Two of my own nephews were killed. One of my brothers tortured physically and mentally, and once left for death. Another brother disappeared. In fact, he hasn't shown up till today, and it's been 22 years. We don't know where he is. It is difficult to imagine how could a human being with flesh and blood disappear just like that from the face of this earth. But it has happened. Not just to me, not just to my family, but to many families in this region. You all are lucky who have come from far away, and lucky if you are from here but were born after those chaotic years. Just before the disappearance of my brother, some unidentified people planted explosives in my house. And one night, it exploded, the house where my old parents were sleeping. My mother almost died in that explosion. When my mother regained consciousness, she found all her face and her upper body infested with shrapnel, and one of her ears lost ability to hear. We don't know where my disappeared brother. Many would like to believe that he was eliminated by the security personnel for his involvement in the armed conflict. Some others believe that he could have been killed by the faction who was hand in glove with the government of that time. So how did I and my family combated the pain and trauma that we experienced? I'm going to speak about myself today. Deep down in my heart, even in this chaotic time, I wanted to build my life. I had a choice to either join one of those organizations, get entangled with local politics, or bemoan the personal losses I have experienced. But I was looking for an exit route. I didn't want to add to the chaos, or I didn't want to be part of the chaos. I was young, but old enough not to lose my sanity. I decided to move to another city. This is the picture of the house where my parents were sleeping when this got exploded. This was the condition. When we look back and think how my parents survived this explosion, I only thank God for that. So most of you, or at least some of you, would know about the Great Emu War that took place in Australia. In 1932, 10,000s of ammunition, including 2 machine guns, were deployed to kill the emus bordering the farmers in Western Australia. It looks like just birds, oversized birds with dangling necks. But man launched war over them, like real war. But even after this heavy deployment, only 300 emus were killed. So how did they evade the wrath of man on them? Emus, unlike ostrich, don't bury their head in the sand. They blend in themselves with the surroundings, or fast runners that they are, they run as fast as they can. I followed what the emu did, the latter. I ran away. I went from Guwahati to Delhi, and I found a house in Delhi. I was just 24 then. I had a degree in Assamese literature, and I had a diploma in basic management, including tourism and travels. I packed my certificates, not that it was very useful in Delhi. I went there. Luckily for me, my eldest brother, Basumutary, who was a civil servant, was posted in Delhi at the time. He and his wonderful wife, Priti, they're sitting right here today, helped me to navigate my life in the new city. After several years of trials and errors and substantial amount of struggle, I found my true calling. I became a storyteller, a filmmaker, and an occasional actor. I had a with a degree of literature. I had a keen interest in writing. But needless to say that I didn't have the access to training in making films. So I randomly approached the iconic filmmaker, Muzaffar Ali. I approached him and requested him to accept me as his assistant, and he obliged. After working with him for a few years in a few projects, and continuous reading and watching films, I plunged into making films. It must be because of my past experiences. The characters I write and portray them on the screen, they are extremely resilient. Whether it is Swapna in Anurag, Radhika in Rag, Alari in Jalai, and the women in my last film, Gorai Phakri, they all have bones of steel. I'm lucky to marry a police officer whose heart is in the right place. I believe when he needs to make a choice between being a good police officer and being a good human being, he would choose to be a good human being. And I pride myself to be mother of my wise children who honestly believe that the planet has to be shared equally with everyone. This journey has been tough, to say the least. But I wanted to heal my wounds. I needed a quiet place, a space where I could think and take my life forward. Coming back to the resilient emus, at the time of the emu war, there were only 20,000. But they survived the war, and not only survived the war, they thrived. And today, there are 600,000 to 700,000 in Australia. That's the price of resilience. And that's the price that there's a silver lining beyond the darkness. So the last words I would be today for all of you, especially the young people who are sitting here, is don't give up. Hang in there. For like everything in life, pain and suffering is impermanent. Thank you.